Imagine that the world wakes up on Monday morning and learns that the temperature of the oceans has risen by several degrees, and everything that was considered eternal and immovable, from the ice domes of Greenland to the giant Antarctic ice sheets, has begun to melt rapidly. Not over centuries, not over decades, but in just 1 week, 7 days, and the planet as we know it disappears. What happens next? How high will the waters rise? Who will survive? And what will happen to the climate, cities, and humanity? Let's figure it out. The first day passes almost unnoticed. Satellites detect a strange anomaly. Powerful, warm ocean currents, such as the Gulf Stream, suddenly become several degrees hotter. This is enough for tons of ice to begin breaking up at a rate hundreds of times faster than normal. Scientists try to understand what has happened. No one believes the figures. Greenland is losing billions of tons of mass per day. In Antarctica, huge ice shelves begin to crack so loudly that seismic sensors record them as small earthquakes. The world does not yet understand that this is not just an anomaly, it is a catastrophe. On the second day, Arctic melt, as journalists have dubbed it, turns calm northern rivers into turbulent, brown, muddy streams. Waves of meltwater sweep away everything in their path: bridges, roads, power lines. In Iceland, the melting causes record volcanic floods when lava and ice water mix, creating black and red streams. In the mountains of Tibet, entire ice lakes are disappearing. Water that has accumulated there for millennia crashes down like a giant wall, sweeping away villages. By the evening of the second day, the global sea level rises by almost 30 to 40 centimeters. This seems like a small number, until you realize that such rises used to take decades. The third day is the first when humanity realizes the scale of what is happening. In the US, the Atlantic coast takes the first hit. Charleston, Miami, New York, the streets turn into canals. The water flows relentlessly, engulfing parking lots, warehouses, and the first line of houses. In South Asia, the situation is worse. Dhaka, one of Bangladesh's largest cities, is almost completely submerged. Tens of millions of people are forced to leave their homes. And for the first time in history, the world sees some national borders disappear before its very eyes. Coastlines are being erased. Satellite maps become obsolete every few hours. On the fourth day, the consequences become frighteningly global. When giant glaciers disappear, they release energy that was previously locked in the cold. The air temperature rises, evaporation increases. Abnormal rainstorms begin in some regions and monstrous droughts in others. The breakdown of the most important system, ocean circulation, creates climatic chaos. The Gulf Stream slows down. For the first time in hundreds of years, Europe experiences a sharp cold snap in the middle of summer. Spain is covered in snow. Italy is covered in storm ice. At the same time, temperatures in Central Africa rise to extreme levels, above 130 degrees Fahrenheit. People faint right on the streets. The weather ceases to follow familiar patterns. By the fifth day, the melting reaches its peak. Greenland loses so much ice that the sea level rises by another 0.5 meter. Antarctica loses even more. The total rise approaches 1.5 to 2 meters. This is already irreversible. New York loses its subway. London closes the tunnels under the Thames. Venice disappears under the waves forever. But the worst is for the Pacific Islands, Tuvalu, Kiribati, the Marshall Islands. They simply cease to exist. Entire countries cease to exist. And the most tragic thing is that there is nowhere to retreat. On the sixth day, humanity faces the largest migration in its history. Hundreds of millions of people are trying to leave the coasts. In the US, Almost the entire east coast is being evacuated. In China, areas where tens of millions of people live are being resettled. Chaos ensues. Traffic jams, fuel shortages, overcrowded trains, closed airports. People are moving to the center of the continents, inland. Governments declare a state of emergency. It is already impossible to stop the consequences. All that can be done is to mitigate the chaos. By the seventh day, there are no glaciers left on Earth. Not in Greenland, not in Antarctica, not in the mountains. All the ancient ice, tens of thousands of years old, has melted away. At this point, nature strikes its final blow. The planet becomes darker, the surface reflects less sunlight. The Earth begins to heat up faster. This triggers a new cycle of warming. The oceans become warmer. Tropical storms become super powerful. And for the first time in human history, people realize the world they lived in is gone forever. Now, the ocean level is stabilizing at 6 to 7 meters above its previous level. This means huge areas are going underwater. Almost all coastal cities are becoming uninhabitable. Ocean currents are changing. Northern regions are getting colder. The equator, on the other hand, is becoming almost unbearable to live in. Humanity is entering an era of global resettlement. And right now, a new reality is emerging. Countries that were once cold and deserted are becoming new centers of life. Canada, Siberia, and Iceland are becoming key regions. The world is restarting. Years after the melting, Earth becomes a different planet. New coastlines, new climate, new migration maps, new dangers. But people, as always, adapt. Cities are built on high ground. Floating platforms appear. Dams and barriers tens of meters high are erected. New technologies emerge to cool cities and control storms. And yet, every child of the future will hear the story of the week when the Earth changed. The week when the water rose so quickly that it rewrote the map of the world. This week will become part of mythology. A reminder that nature is always stronger than us.